Hello there and welcome to a new video for Age of Wonders 4. In this one I'm going to give you a unit guide for the Mystic culture. I'm going to go over their units, analyze their strengths and weaknesses and everything in between. At the end of this video I'm going to give you a summary about their military identity, how I think they are played best and what they are good at and what they are bad at. So let's hop right into this. I want to start again with the scouts. And the Mystic Scout is an interesting unit. He's ethereal and floating, meaning that he's super fast, really fast. He can cross any terrain, whatever it is, with the same movement cost, which is really amazing. And they come ethereal, which means they have a built-in spirit resistance, lightning weakness, whatever. The real interesting part is that they have a ton of immunities. If they ever come into combat, they are really good at resisting statuses, but that's pretty much it. Realistically, you won't use these guys on the front line. There are way better options than that. It's just a very nice scout unit that helps you to access even the most remote areas of the world. That's pretty cool. Let's get on over to the real military presence here. Let's talk about the polearms of the Mystic faction. I have to say here at the very first point, these values, they are 2 points too high. We are running a racial trait. I'm sorry, I beg your pardon, these values are all 2 points lower. So they come with a little bit of a higher magic resistance than a physical resistance. They got a pretty decent damage, and they got the Starblades attunement. This is a baseline trait for all your military units, which amplifies their damage whenever a spell is cast in combat. So that makes them a really powerful attacker, especially in combination with that. You rack up a pretty nice damage, because you always got to pay attention to that. This is damage per blow. These guys can attack 3 times, so a fully stacked out Starblades enchantment would be ideally 9 points of damage more. So 3 to 9 points of damage more. This is more powerful than it looks at first glance due to that. But in a grand picture, these guys are really your expendable troops. They aren't too well suited for the front line due to their, well, nature as a tier 1 unit, but they are pole arms, therefore they deal a lot of damage against larger and cavalry units, and they are a really good asset for your backline in the later stages of the game. And early on they are really good to just take down enemies and to be played aggressively. Just be aware of the fact that these guys like to explode if you overextend a little bit too much with them. The Tier 1 Arcanist is your Tier 1 Battle Mage. It's interesting enough that the Mystic culture has access to a Tier 1 Battle Mage, but more about that in a hot minute. The frame of the Battle Mage is pretty cool. They come with a 12 damage per blow shot, and that can be enhanced again with Starblades. This is, at the first glance, nothing special, but it's also a very solid, reliable backbone. The real interesting part about these guys is their nature as battle mages, because the battle mage class is fairly rare among low-tier units. Most battle mages tend to be higher tier units. This might be even the lowest tier battle mage unit I know from the back of my head, but that means any trait that synergizes with battle mages is really well here. So as an example, we have the powerful evokers. You gain extra combat casting points for supporters and battle mages. So whatever unit enchantment or society perk that's synergizing with battle mages, you have a really good time with this culture because you have a dirty cheap access to these guys. So basically, these guys are really good receivers for enchantments for battle mages. It's something to worth noting, but beyond that, they are your standard range attack thing that every culture tends to have. The real specialty here is it doesn't come as a physical damage dealer, and again, 2 points of magical resistance and 0 of physical. Although, I have to point out here at that point, the regular archer comes with 0/0, not just with the 2 here, so they are really good at their defenses, just specialized. Talking about specialization, let's get on over to Tier 2 shield units. Oh, I like these guys. These are the real enablers in your roster. They come with a good defense, so base defense here is +2. So this is their base value. It's a 3. and they got also the shield defense trait, so they are really good at blocking away physical damage. They got shield wall, so they can spread that physical resilience to other allies, but most importantly, they got a chance to put down an AoE flash stun bomb. This is such a good skill. You can use it in the front line to disable the enemy front line from retaliating, but also you can use these guys in the back line to just disable anything that penetrated your backline defenses so your other folks can pelt it down. It's really good when somebody got into the faces of your battle mages, stun them so your battle mages can retreat and respond with fire, or something like that. It's really a good usage for this skill in many, many ways. And well, the rest is just Starblades and a solid melee attack. They also come again with a 2-point magic resistance, which is pretty good. I'm not sure where Mystic Defenses is coming from here, so forgive me if there's a distortion in that value. But their major sales point is that they want to be on the physical defense front, and they can stun targets, and they are the pieces on the battlefield that keep your ranged attackers in motion. They can peel off enemies that got into your face. They are a massively solid front line. They are a little bit low on the damage side compared to the Arcane Guard. I totally forgot to mention that these guys are also ripping resistances. I'm sorry about that. They are also enabling a little bit more of the damage. Good thing that I noticed at this point. So, I think I talked enough about the spell shield. Let's get on over to the Soother, your support unit. So, support-wise, they offer a 2-person heal. It's solid. It's not too impressive because it's, well, you cannot really target that, and that's a little bit annoying. But well, it's a great heal for 2 people. They also come with a solid ranged attack. Again, just 1 shot because supporter. But the real interesting part here is that they come with a spell channeling trait. You probably need only one of these guys if it's just for this trait that you picked them, but 20% cheaper spells is amazing. They don't have Starblade's enchantment, but they offer even more magical resistance to your roster, so pretty good stuff. This trait here, I want to stress out how important it is. Due to the due to the Starblades thing, you want to keep casting spells, and having cheaper spells is really, really cool. And on top of that, they heal some, and they can shoot some, so solid backbone, but not as impressive as other factions' supporters, in my humble opinion. This gets all evened out for their impressive tier 3 Battle Mage unit. So, as you would expect, they have a solid base attack, even more powerful if you pull off some Starblades on top of that. They come with a solid AoE spell, which is really, really amazing on its own. It does dispel positive status effects. So this is a real destroyer for all those factions like Industrious or whoever relies on massively buffing up their troops to have better stats. This is a pretty annoying skill to face, but it also deals double damage to magic origin units. So these guys are always useful, therefore. They come very useful in some certain niche cases, the star purchase special effects, but they always have access to a really nice ranged attack. But that's not where it ends. A tuned cast is also an amazing skill because it allows you to keep casting the entire combat. You can use that to generate more combat casting points, and there is no statement here that this can be used only once per battle. I want to point this out. So in a longer battle, your spellbreakers are the guys that keep your Starblades running because they can just generate more combat casting points for your faction inside the battle. That's an amazing trait and very, very unique. No other faction slash culture I've looked at was able to pull this off. So we have defense-wise here again a quite impressive baseline magic resistance, but these guys are your damage dealers. I want to point out that these guys can also receive cavalry if you picked up cavalry as a physical trait of your civilization. So you can make these guys mounted. This is, well, I think they There are various choices that could be interesting, but I want to say that this is a little bit inferior towards other cultures because your scouts won't benefit from the mounts. You will only have mounts for the spellbreakers and nobody else in your civilization. But unicorns are amazing. Spiders give you a new ranged AoE attack. Wolves give you a point blank AoE attack. There is a lot of potential there. So I end with this here. So that's the roster. What's to summarize about that? So first off, these guys are mana hungry. You need to cast spells to keep them efficient. This is very, very important. Without spell casting, their damage is really subpar. So keep an eye out to optimize your strategy to that and have a nice amount of tactical spells that synergize very, very well. Luckily, you gain access to really cheap spells on your own. Defensive options are there in your... These are base spells that you just have access to. But beyond that, it's up to you. You need to buff up these units with spells. What's more to say is that they are quite resilient against magical damage. I keep talking about their low resilience against physical damage, but I want to point out that nobody else is tanking away magical damage naturally as well as these guys. So this is something you really should be also aware of. What I figured in the longer run was that due to the fact that they don't have access to shock troops, and due to the fact that most of their damage from ranges is elemental damage, they mix in elemental damage into their melee profile. Therefore, resistance is the trait they hate the most. So if you want to focus something important, try to take out the enemy supporters ASAP, because these are the guys that just need to go into defensive mode to spread even more resistance on their buddies, which is really not cool for you. You can shred the resistances, like I said, with the Arcane Guards skill. You can remove buffs, so you have tools, but you really got to be aware of the fact that magic resistance is your big enemy in this whole game. So whenever you get the ability to lower the enemy's resistance, it's totally worth it, because you are you have a strong bias towards magic damage with this faction. What's also worth noting is that these guys love to have external skirmishers or shock units to have some line breakers, because that's where these guys really don't excel at. They have nothing fast, they have nothing teleporting, they are just a really good formation that's hard to break and deals a lot of range damage from afar. But if there is one priority target in the backline, you really could fix that with summons or, like I said, foreign forces, because I figured that this is one of the major weaknesses. Like, if there is one big fat hero supporter that's just standing behind the enemy lines, this is where this culture struggles the most. So you gotta have some strategies, be it spells, be it units. That's what I figured is really, really important. But beyond that, these guys create an amazing ball of death that's hard to breach, because you can stun everything that gets too close. Those guys destroy resistances, and they are your expendable troops, and you got a lot of powerful ranged oomph which is backed up by some decent heals, so your front line doesn't falter that fast either. So really like this faction. They are a mixed bag. There's a lot of magical damage, but I hope that this was a helpful summary for you, my friends. So feel free to leave me a comment down below if I have missed out something. If you feel like there should be more info about something like that, let us all know. And of course, leave a thumbs up, leave a subscription. I'd be delighted if you'd also check out the playlist link down there, leading you to all the other Age of Wonders 4 videos I've made so far. And a big thanks to the supporters of my channel. I deeply appreciate your help. And if you want to find out more, there's Patreon, PayPal, and Buy Me a Coffee as ways and means to support this channel. Check them out. I'd be delighted if you did, but I surely don't mind if you don't. Instead, I thank you for your time, and I hope that you come back soon again. Bye-bye.